Leadership is about recognizing that there is greatness in everyone, and your job is to create an environment where that greatness can emerge. And this book shows you how to create such an environment that is super important to adopt as a product leader to practice and behave. Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Teresa and I'm a product director based in Melbourne, Australia. And on this channel, we explore strategies and tools that keep inspiring us to keep growing in our product career. Today, I'll share my top 5 key takeaways from the book Empowered that I have adopted and have been practicing as a product leader. Before we start, a quick introduction of the author Marty Cagan. He started his career as a software developer and moved into a senior VP of product and design at eBay. Throughout his whole entire career, he has performed and managed most of the roles of a modern software product organization, including product management, software development, product marketing, user experience, design testing, engineering, etc. He is a very well-known person in the product space and continuously shares his knowledge to create successful product managers. Let's jump into the first key takeaway. That is, the purpose of a strong leadership is to inspire and motivate the organization. If product teams are to be empowered to make good decisions, they need to have a strategic context necessary to make those decisions. In order to provide that strategic context, there are 4 major responsibilities of a product leader. Number 1 is the product vision and principles. This is about describing the future that you want to create and, most importantly, how it improves the lives of customers. Typically, a vision is about 3 to 5 years that ladder up to the business mission and objective. The vision holds product and cross-functional business teams together heading into the same direction. It's what keeps us inspired and excited to come into work every day. Now, the product principle complements the product vision by reflecting the value of the organization and also some strategic decisions that help the team to make the right decision when faced with difficult trade-offs. Next is team topology. This refers to how we break up the work amongst the different product teams to best enable them to do great work. This includes the structure and scope of the teams and their relationship to one another. Next, we have the product strategy, describes how we plan to accomplish the product vision while meeting the needs of the business as we go. The strategy derives focused, then leverages insight, converts the insight into actions, and finally manages the work through to completion. And lastly, product evangelism. This is a critical part of the role is to communicate the product vision, principles, and product strategies to internal organizations and across the company broadly. This is about ongoing communication during recruitment, onboarding, weekly one-on-one coaching, all hands meetings, team lunches, and everything in between. The larger the organization, the better you need to be at evangelism, and it's important to understand that it's something that is never completed and it needs to be constant. The next key takeaway is coaching is about getting in the arena to help your team members realize their potential. Product leaders take responsibility for making their people better without taking credit for their accomplishments. Now, the book stresses that the wrong coaching mindset may lead to you applying tools in a way that actually undermines your intention. For example, you may be committed to having a one-on-one with each of your team members. But if these meetings consist primarily of you allocating your work and prioritizing tasks, they are actually not helpful and likely to even be harmful. So here are 7 guiding principles to make you a better coach. Number 1 is developing people is your number 1 job. You should be spending most of your time and energy on coaching your team. This means spending real effort on things such as assessing your team, creating coaching plans, and actively helping them to improve and develop. Next is empowering your people to produce the best result. This means creating an environment where your people can own the outcome and not just task. This doesn't mean less management, it means better management. You must step back to create this space while stepping in to remove impediments, clarify context, and provide guidance. Next is beware of your own insecurity. Now, insecure managers have particularly hard time empowering people because they're always worried about being recognized for their contribution. They can see their team's success as a threat to that recognition rather than the confirmation that their contribution have moved the team to be successful. To put it in simple terms, if your team and people are growing and driving positive impact, then that is your success metric. Be aware of your insecurities and understand how your behavior can interfere with your empowering your team. Next is cultivate diverse points of view. An insecure manager may suppress opinions that are different from their own. This obviously impacts the development of the team, but it also impacts their effectiveness as a leader. Good leaders know that they will get the best results when they are able to consider diverse point of view. They also know that they don't have a monopoly of good ideas and that the best ideas may come from others. Seek out teaching moments. Many, if not most people, are not aware of their own potential. As a coach, you are in a very unique position to help them see it. Reaching potential requires working through adversity. As a coach, you are always looking for opportunities that encourage your people to stretch beyond their comfort zone. Continuously earn the trust of your team. None of your coaching effort will be effective without trust. This is not something that you can demand or expect to happen on its own. It comes from continuously demonstrating through your actions your genuine commitment to success and development of each member of your team. Have the courage to correct mistakes. Sometimes, despite your best effort, you cannot find the path for a team member to become successful. When you reach this point, it's important that you act decisively. For many leaders, this is the hardest principle to follow. Coaching is about development, so you are necessarily looking at people's problem as opportunity to develop. This is not just about firing people or moving people on to a different job immediately. We should treat these decisions very seriously. What this is saying is that when you know, don't wait. You're not doing anyone any favors. The third key takeaway is getting good at true collaboration is at the heart of how strong a product team works. Solving problems collaboratively is no longer the old waterfall process of a product manager defining requirements and handing them off to the designer to come up with a design that meets those requirements and then handing them off to engineers to implement the design. Marty talks about the 3 areas that collaboration is not when it comes to empowering teams. Number 1 is collaboration is not about consensus. While we like when the product team agrees on the best call of action, we do not expect or insist on this. Rather, we depend on the expertise of each member of the product team. For example, if a tech lead feels there is specific architecture is called for, we defer to the tech lead. If the designer feels the specific user experience is called for, we defer to the designer. Now, occasionally, there will be conflict and judgment calls, and normally we will run experiments and prototype to resolve them. Next is collaboration is not about artifacts. Many product managers think their job is to produce some form of document capturing requirements, or at least they are there to write user stories. It is true sometimes that we do need to create the artifacts, especially when team members are remote. But that is certainly not how we collaborate. In fact, these artifacts often gets in the way of actual collaboration. Because once a product manager has declared something is a requirement, it's pretty much end the conversation and moves the discussion into implementation. Now, at this point, the designer might feel like they are just there to ensure that the design conforms to the company's style guide, and the engineers feel like they're just there to code, and we're back to waterfall. And lastly, collaboration is not about compromise. If you end up with a mediocre user experience, slow down performance and limited scalability, and then it will depreciate the value for customers. As a team, you lose. We need to find solutions that works. By that we mean that it is valuable enough that the target customer will actually buy it or choose to use it. It is usable, so users can actually use it. It is feasible, so we can actually deliver that value. And it is viable for our business, so that the rest of our company can effectively market, sell, and support the solution. In order to do this, we need to know what we can't know, admit what we don't know, and focus on discovering a solution that works. Overall, collaboration means product managers, product designers, and engineers working together with customers and stakeholders and executives to come up with a solution that solves for all of our constraints and risks. This is what we mean by a solution that customers love yet works for our business. The fourth key takeaway is that the best product companies hire competent people of character and then coach and develop them into members of extraordinary teams. Trust is a function of two things: competence and character. Now, competence includes your capability, your skills, and your track record. Character includes your integrity, your motive, and your intent with people. For competence, the hiring manager must be competent to be able to coach and develop that person. There is nothing wrong with hiring based on potential, but if and only if the hiring manager is willing and able to sign up to actively coach that person to competence. It's a big commitment and of time and effort on hiring manager. Staffing is one of the three key responsibilities of management, and it is absolutely critical to ensure competence. Without competence, the person and the team cannot be expected to be trusted by management or leadership. So there is no long-lasting empowerment without competence. As for character, Marty talks about rather than narrowing a very large pool of people to a subset that is perceived as cultural fit, instead keeping the pool very large and just filtering out relatively few assholes. So rather looking for people like yourself, make it's an explicit point to look for people that are clearly not like yourself. People who come from different environments, people who were educated differently, people with different types of work experience, and people with different life experiences. The last key takeaway is the empowerment of your company's product team is greatly impacted by your topology choices. Now, topology is all about how you structure your product team within the organization. In order to optimize for the empowerment, it requires balancing three interrelated goals. First is ownership. This is bigger than just the team's objectives. It sets the scope of each team's full responsibility around functionality, experience, quality, performance, and technical debt. Teams are expected to make the necessary trade-off to best address the work that fits into their scope of ownership. Empowerment improves when each team has something meaningful that they are responsible for. When a team has a very narrow scope of responsibility, its members can find it hard to stay motivated. They don't understand how their work relates to the broader business goals, and they can feel like small cogs in a big wheel. A team that sees itself as responsible for meaningful problem is inspired by their connection to the larger cause, and they have more pride of ownership. However, it is very tricky because you can't say larger ownership means better empowerment, because it can also go against if the scope is way too broad, which can lead to a high level of cognitive load, and that can work against the empowerment of the team. You will need to find a fine balance between the both. Next is autonomy. Now, autonomy is a powerful concept, yet it often is misunderstood by leadership and the product team. It does not mean that the team should just never have dependencies on other product teams, nor does it mean that the team is allowed to go off and pursue whatever they like. Autonomy does mean that when you give teams problems to solve, they have enough control so that they can solve the problem in the best possible way that they see fit. A topology that results in too many dependencies can make this very difficult. We expect teams to use the tools of product discovery to explore different options and approaches before committing to a solution. And we trust that the decisions they make because we know the team is the best positioned to make them. And lastly, alignment. Alignment refers to how well the boundaries between the teams track with other aspects of the strategic context. When alignment is high, teams generally have fewer dependencies to get things done. They make faster decisions and are more connected with the business level outcomes. Therefore, when alignment is high, empowerment is improved. Alignment is typically the most complicated aspect of the topology because there are too many dimensions to consider. The two most significant ones are the architecture and the business. Now, the architecture is based on the product vision, as the job of the architect is to enable the product vision. If that's the case, a topology that aligns with technical architecture will be naturally aligned with the product vision. Teams can own a meaningful scope and can given autonomy to make significant product decisions. However, in companies with large amounts of technical debt or legacy systems, team may not be aligned with the architecture. Their work is cluttered with dependencies and complexity. Even the smallest simple task can take a long time if they're even feasible at all. Alignment with the business includes how the product team relates to the organization. For example, to the different business units, different go-to-market strategies, different customer type, or different market segment. Keep in mind, there would never be a single perfect team topology for your organization. There are many trade-offs to consider, but the overarching objective is to optimize for empowerment. If you find this video helpful or inspiring, please hit the like button and subscribe to this channel. Also, check out my other video called Inspired by Marty Kagan. If you'd like to share your review on Empowered, please share in the comments below. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.